Guess what, y'all? There's another one. There's another video game that has a character creation screen that will allow you to make female characters with curves. We're talking boobs and butts, everything. Oh, only if I had some pearls to clutch. The Korean video game Stellar Blade has come and gone, along with its curvy controversy. And then along comes Mecha Break, with its own curvy controversy. By all accounts, Mecha Break is just another one of your bog standard, generic, Asian, free-to-play MMOs that just so happens to have a character creation screen that will allow your character to have large perky breasts and a large firm butt. The developers just put the character creation screen in to stir up controversy, to get attention. So who cares if somebody gets offended by all of this, right? Well, let's just talk about that a bit.
Architectural Artcast.
Last 15, 20 years, a particular brand of feminism, some call it intersectional feminism, I call it academic corporate feminism, has wormed its way through every social institution, including entertainment, which means Hollywood. This brand of feminism is militantly hostile to traditional beauty standards. In fact, they're militantly hostile to beauty itself. They want to remove the very concepts of masculine and feminine. They want society to become an androgynous, amorphous blob. No individuality. Everybody is identical to everybody else. Academic and corporate feminism's hatred of the very concept of beauty, particularly beauty as represented in art and movies, comes from a fallacy. This particular fallacy comes from an oft-quoted but seldom understood concept: sex sells. And the logic goes something like this. If sex sells and you portray attractive people in your art, your movies, your entertainment, you're sexualizing them. You're exploiting their sexuality. You're reducing them to sex objects. And if it's a woman, that's particularly bad. Naughty, naughty. Art, movies, entertainment can reduce somebody, both male and female, to being mere sex objects. And that is bad. Best lies are built upon truth. It is true that sex sells, sort of. But like with anything that has to do with humans, it's way more complicated than that. The fallacy that these academic and corporate feminists are engaging in is that they're claiming that beauty equals sex. They're saying the concept of beauty and the concept of sexuality are interchangeable. They mean the same thing. And that most definitely is a lie. Once you become aware of this fallacy, this flawed assumption, you realize this is the foundation that underpins all of academic and corporate feminist arguments. When it comes to art, and specifically depictions of the feminine form, academic and corporate feminists believe that there's only one legitimate interpretation: their interpretation. Convenient, that. These feminists believe that beauty equals sexuality, so therefore the only reason why we appreciate the human form, and more specifically why men appreciate beautiful women, it's always sexual. If there's only one legitimate interpretation, that means the artist knows that what they are doing is wrong. They know they're exploiting the sexuality of whoever's in their movie or whatever. So therefore, it's legitimate to censor them. It's legitimate to keep people from seeing what they've done. It's legitimate to keep the project from ever being made in the first place. This war on beauty, the pushing of an alternate aesthetic, is based upon fallacies and lies. And eventually, people saw through it. The backlash has been building for a while, but the last couple months, we have seen a complete rejection of all this BS. Academic and corporate feminists, along with their allies, they ain't going anywhere. They're true believers. They're going to continue to push this stuff. But in the new climate, they have to change their tactics. But they're still operating under the same flawed assumptions. So once you know about those assumptions, you can spot what they're doing a mile away. The new video game Mecha Break comes bebopping along, and some of the usual suspects do what you would expect. They start screaming bloody murder. This game harms women. The developers must be stopped. Only a pervert would play this game. But some of the usual suspects take a very different tack. On a quick side note, academic and corporate feminists going around the world telling people from other cultures what they should think, what they should believe, what their morals should be, reminds me of a phrase that was pretty popular in the 19th century. An Englishman's burden is to bring civilization to the world. Man, these academic and corporate feminists carry such a heavy burden. While some are doing their usual song and dance, others are saying, no, we don't care about beautiful, curvy women in games, movies, whatever. In fact, we have never cared. Yeah, there's that new video game. What's it called again? Mecha Break. Yeah, that game. Yeah, it does let you create beautiful, sexy, jiggly women, but people like me don't care. I just don't understand why you would think people like me care. Yeah, I have no idea why we would think people like you would care either. It would definitely have nothing to do with over a decade of screaming male gaze, objectification of women, feminine curves bad. Yeah, definitely would have nothing to do with that. Just must be because we're bad people. Hollywood is trying to adapt to their new reality. They've begun to realize that the American people have rejected academic and corporate feminist ideology along with their alternate aesthetic of ugly androgyny. Hollywood thinks they're telling the audience, we hear you. We will give you what you want. We will give you beauty. But they're still infected by academic and corporate feminist ideology. They're still infected by their fallacies. So at a big event like the Oscars, they think they're saying, look, everybody, we're going to give you what you want. We're going to give you beauty. And they give us actresses basically naked on the red carpet. And for Best Picture, Anora, a movie with nudity and explicit sex. Again, they think beauty equals sexuality. I'm not going to go into depth because it's a whole nother topic. I have videos on it if you want to check it out. But it's called a nested hierarchy. No wonder people who hate hierarchies have a problem with this concept. But it's called a nested hierarchy. You have a category, beauty. Within that category is a subset, sexy. And within that category is another subset, sexual. You can have beautiful without sexual. You can meet somebody who you think is beautiful, engaging, fascinating, enthralling, intriguing, but you don't find them sexual. Exhibit A, Cate Blanchett's Galadriel. Here at the Architectural Outcast, I'm all about solutions. I've been yammering on here for however long about the problem, the confusion between beauty and sexuality. But there is a solution, a secret formula that Hollywood used to know back in the 20s and 30s, but it's been lost to the ages. I've found this formula. And if you all know how to keep your mouth shut, I'll let you in on the secret. Sex doesn't sell. Well, it does if you're a hooker, but Hollywood has never sold sex. It has sold fantasies, nested hierarchies. All fantasies aren't sexual. And Hollywood understood from day one that the fantasy didn't begin and end with the movie. What Hollywood was selling as a fantasy was Hollywood itself. What's a fantasy? You make an idea so appealing, so attractive, and yes, sometimes so desirable that people want to be a part of it. This is where you get the idea of the movie star. You make a person so attractive, so appealing, and yes, sometimes so desirable that people are willing to part with their hard-earned money just so they can have the privilege of watching a recording of that person. How do you go about making a movie star? It's actually a very simple 3-step process. But like all simple things, the devil's in the detail. You start by finding a person that as many people as possible will find attractive. Next, you put them into movies that, again, as many people as possible will want to see. And third, When the person isn't making movies, they present themselves as likable, as somebody that as many people as possible would actually want to associate with. If only some actor or actress could crack this formula, the sky would be the limit. Oh, wait a minute. That might explain the popularity of Sydney Sweeney. Most people, both men and women, think she's hotter than a $2 pistol. Her movies are generally well received, and when she does have a stinker, she laughs it off, comes off as charming and self-deprecating, and generally speaking, seems like somebody that would be fun to hang out with for a day. Wow, it's almost like old Hollywood knew what they were doing. There's the old curse, may you live in interesting times, and we definitely live in interesting times. The war on beauty is ongoing, but once you understand the underlying assumptions, makes it a lot easier to navigate the battlefield. There is a solution. Reject their definition of beauty and replace it with your definition. If there's one thing that we've learned over the last couple months, academic and corporate feminists don't have as much power and influence as they thought they did. They're irrelevant. You don't mind, they don't matter. At any rate, I hope I've given you all something to think about, and until next time, you all be safe. If you're all still here, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. While you're at it, why don't you like this video, subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell. You can hear me yammer on about something else next time, and feel free to share this video far and wide.
Please like and subscribe. Please leave a comment.